Thank you for joining us. And today we are talking to two lovely ladies from the Cameron Smith and Associates. We have Beth and we have Christy. And Beth, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do at CSA?
Yeah, so I've been at CSA since 2010, I guess, at the end of 2009. And I handle recruiting mainly for consumer goods, mostly upper level C-suite type positions. And then a couple of years later, I recruited Christy to come to work for us because we had worked together at Walmart, and she's just a wealth of knowledge and so smart with HR type stuff, and had been in recruiting but had done some other stuff. And I'm not going to steal her thunder. I'll let her tell you a little bit about what she did at Walmart and what she does at Cameron Smith.
All right. Yeah, Christy.
Okay. Well, I'm Christy, and I've been with Cameron Smith and Associates for about the last 7 years, and do mainly the same kind of things as Beth, executive recruiting, mainly in the consumer goods space. And then I also handle a lot of our career coaching and what we call outplacement work. And so working with candidates who are in career transitions that are just in need of some additional help and boost in different areas such as interviewing, resumes, presence, confidence. So I do some coaching on those aspects. So
awesome. And how have you guys seen the pandemic affect the CPG and retail job market and hiring?
Well, we definitely, this is kind of new for all of us, and it's a new normal and seeing how that looks. And so a lot of people are working from home. We're seeing that from our businesses to our clients to our candidates. So people are trying to figure out this new normal. Some of the positions that we have in those non-essential positions or categories with retailers, we're seeing those positions kind of being put on hold. But all in all, our business is really good. People are still recruiting, especially critical positions at this time all across the board. So we are staying busy. Cameron allows us to work from home a lot of times, and so we do have an office, but we've always kind of been able to work from home. So now we're doing that more every day. It's just that we're also doing homeschooling with our kids, and our significant others are also working from home. So it's just trying to kind of coordinate all of that, but it's just business as usual here. So that's
good. I used to love working from home, and now that the rest of the family is here, it's not as much fun. There's just a lot of distractions.
Wow, I bet
I stay very busy and only work.
Oh, okay.
I work like 24/7 now, right?
That's good. That's right. That's right. You never take off now.
No.
That's the value of you being at home. Perfect. Well, that's actually good news to hear, Beth. I mean, I think that a lot of the suppliers in the community, we look into Cameron Smith and Associates to kind of give them a little bit of indication as to, how the recruiting market's going and what's going on. And so that's good to hear that business as usual for you guys are still kind of carrying on, right? There hasn't been any.
Some of them have slowed down a little bit. We've had a couple of clients that said, hey, we're still going to hire this position, but we're going to wait. And so what we're doing is really encouraging them to move forward with interviews. And when it opens back up, maybe do that face-to-face or get ready to make that offer at that point. So you're just seeing some people are just moving a little bit slower. And then, but a lot of people are filling positions.
So I got a quick question on that, because actually it's something that we, we've had, I think, a couple of folks that have joined our team right in the midst of, they literally started right after.
Started on the first day we were working from home, yeah.
Quarantine day, right? And so, I mean, are you, is that happening, and how are y'all coaching your clients through those time periods?
So I actually had a gentleman, I've had a couple of companies trying to figure that out. Like, what does that look like? If we're going to bring somebody on while we're locked down, what does that look like? And so they've had to figure out some creative onboarding processes, more Zoom calls. We're doing, Zoom is up, as everybody knows.
Yeah, sure.
So they're doing more Zoom. They're trying to get to know people, trying to get that onboarding piece of it. The IT groups are trying to figure out how to get computers and all that stuff to them. So it's definitely a new normal. One of the things that I think it really highlights is some of the gaps in the onboarding process, what that looks like. It's really forcing people to step up their game, which I think is going to be better all around.
Yeah, no, I would agree, because it is, I mean, it requires a little bit more planning and preparation, you know, on the supervisor side, right? And
It does.
yeah,
If you just follow me, you'll figure it out. You'll learn on the job.
hang out with me all day.
Not
You
anymore.
can't do that, right? Yeah.
Unfortunately, yes.
So, but I guess how about interviewing process on your side, right? I mean, when you're interviewing candidates and I guess your clients as well, right?
Yeah, so one of the things, and Christy, jump in if you want. I know she's got some things she wants to talk about, but one of the things that we have seen is we're really working with people how to do video conferencing and what that looks like and who's going to lead it and who's going to be on the call, and making sure that people are all set up and ready to go, because if someone's internet goes down, then what happens? Then who's the number 2 person that's going to take over that interview? What kind of questions are being asked? Making sure that there's enough telephone calls, because if you had somebody physically in your office, you may put them, you know, rotate them around to different offices during the day and then put them in a room or have people come in. So you still want to try to create that same kind of experience, but it's all going to be, obviously video is very well because you can create a rapport, you can see somebody, you can understand kind of a little bit about what's going on. It's not the same, but it's helping stimulate that and helping them be able to make the connection all across the board. So
I guess that's why y'all are pros now at Zoom and interview process. That's why Brooke and I look extremely unprofessional in comparison to both of you.
Like, I'm not at the table. Like,
I'm busting out a t-shirt. Y'all are like,
I got flannel. And like,
lighting's good. You know, everything's great, right?
it is funny that you mentioned that. Christy and I were talking just today. We've got a class coming up, and we're going to teach people how to interview via Zoom and what that looks like. And so we know there's a need for it. Like, there's a window right here. We've got the natural light, you know, so there's in addition to that, there's a lot of other stuff that goes around with it too. And so
case in point, don't backlight yourself.
backlight, yeah.
yeah.
You're a photographer. Like, you know.
I should know. I should know. You know, but I hung those skills up a long time ago, Brooke. Now every time I get on a Zoom call, I'm like, I'm backlit again. I'm a silhouette. I'll fix that later. Then I'll go to the next one. I'll fix that later. And so after 4 weeks, it's still the exact same it was the very first day I sat down.
Yeah, but one of the things that we're finding is that hiring managers will go through 4 or 5 of these interviews, and then the last person will have some kind of issue, some problem, some backlight, and they will automatically go, you know what, they're not as good as the other 3 just because they couldn't figure out their Zoom. That unconscious bias, and we're like, no, they're really a good candidate too, but the internet was down. So
he doesn't care about his backlit. I mean,
right. So we're just trying to educate people for that.
Well, you think, you know, when you're interviewing face to face, you're concerned about impressions. You're wanting to make the best impression that you can as a candidate, and then as a company, you're concerned about impressions as well. You want that candidate to like your company, to get a good feeling while they're there, to have a good experience with the people they meet. And so it's the same thing, but being at home, maybe you're only professional from the top up, things like that. It just makes you feel naturally like you might not need to try as hard, or it's just a different atmosphere. But really trying to help people understand on the candidate and the company side, this is still the first impression, and it's the only impression they're going to get, because we've definitely been having companies hire people after only meeting them via web conference. So this is the only impression you're going to get, and you got to make a good one on both sides.
Yeah, I was wondering, like, if you were gonna, if your advice is to, like, you know, practice like you're going to the interview in person, so actually dress from top to bottom, because it's so easy to just wear pajama bottoms all day because no one's gonna see you.
Right. Well, I had a Zoom call the other day, and I had to. It got scheduled at 3:00 for 5:15. I had to go get dressed. I mean, like, comb my hair, take off the sweat, you know, put on something a little bit more professional. Because when you just get to work, you don't think about those things. So.
Makes a lot of sense, you know, and I didn't even think about it, Christy, until you said something. But I, as an employer, I have a responsibility to look professional too.
Nah.
But hey, you know what? If y'all came in and like audited my interviewing skills, man, Brooke, you know, they would be amazed, wouldn't they? They'd be taking notes.
There was no, we didn't have, when I got interviewed for the company, like almost 7 years ago.
I don't need a case study or a story about it. I was just making a comment, right? But that does make sense. Like, you know, I mean, you have the candidate's first impression to the company via Zoom, which, I mean, yeah, you're right. Because, I mean, like if you know, obviously you drive by or you walk into Procter and Gamble or, you know, one of the other big suppliers, it's like, I mean, their office setting's incredible. The culture, you can get a sense of the culture, you know, and where you'll be working.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in this environment, there's like, how do you give that tour? You know, in King companies, I guess it puts another, you know, like, I mean, this is actually could be a good opportunity for some companies to be more creative in how they give tours of their culture and their, you know, their office setting, you know, all those dynamics. And I mean, I imagine that you got some folks that could really rise up from a perception standpoint and win some pretty strong candidates because they had their Zoomage together. It sounds like a good job for our marketing department.
I'll get right on. Yeah.
Yeah, it is about kind of reading and what that candidate is looking for. So as an employer, you match that just as much as the candidate's trying to read what you're looking for as an employer and highlight those skills about themselves. If the candidate's not so concerned with the environment they're in or the office setting or something, but they're really concerned about the people and the values of the company and things like that, then yeah, you're gonna have to be creative and probably dig in your archives for some things, articles, videos, things like that you can send to them that you might not normally use in a regular interview setting. So it's kind of reading both sides and figuring out what's going to win that candidate, and then as the candidate, what's going to win the company, and how do I highlight that creatively, because I can't meet you in person and I can't see the office, and it's definitely causing a lot of new thoughts and conversations.
That's really cool, man. I mean, sounds like a really great another market opportunity for videographers.
Mm-hmm.
Good storytellers, right? Like how can they, you know, I mean, just scripting and planning out, like, you know, from the CEOs to all the other levels in the company, you know, to give a quick video recording to the videographer. They compile it together, how they make the collage, how they build the cultural setting with the video to send to a candidate. Man, that's good stuff, man. That's pretty exciting. You know, I mean, I think the thing about this whole COVID-19 deal is like, it's really forcing everybody to really think of, I mean, it's, you know, it's like anything, right? It does have its, you know, threats to it, but it brings about a lot of opportunities for creative folks to, yeah, to evolve. So neat stuff, man.
Yeah.
It's really neat.
So what advice do you have for people who have been laid off and are looking for another job or position or anything like that?
Yeah, well, kind of in addition to what we've been talking about preparing yourself for this new interview process, you know, a couple other points that we are talking to a lot of candidates about are things like the unemployment rate right now is pretty high. So in a lot of different industries, we've talked a lot about the consumer goods industry, but you've got the hospitality industry, tourism, restaurants, all of those different transportation that are all being affected in different ways. So if those happen to be one of the areas that you're most skilled in and looking for a job again in that industry, then the unemployment is pretty high in some of those right now. So it's just a difficult period at this point where a lot of jobs are just not available until things open back up. So using the time where it's you're not able to just go be applying and interviewing very readily to prepare to do that, because when things open back up in a few weeks or a month, that's when the market will be flooded again with job needs and candidates. So the most prepared and the people that are on top of it, ready to submit a resume, ready to submit their information for those openings, ready to interview and have a lot of confidence and preparation in doing that, are going to be the ones who grab up those jobs first.
Wow.
So one of our biggest tips is just use the time to prepare. So prepare your resume, get that up to date. Go through your LinkedIn page. LinkedIn is a really valuable tool. So get on LinkedIn, make sure that page mirrors your resume. update some things. Maybe you need to update your picture, things like that, to just make it the most professional as possible. And then connect with people in your network. This is a good time to just kind of bring up old connections, past colleagues and managers and people from college. Connect with those people again, kind of put the word out there that you're going to be looking as soon as things open back up. Here's what you're looking for. Here's what you're skilled in. And those connections can start to help you. You start creating a spider web of things that will likely lead you to your next opportunity. So using that time to prepare and just get yourself in a position of readiness, I guess, is what we've been talking with people about.
Yeah.
Awesome. And also, I know that there's the college graduating class. Like they're going to be graduated in about two weeks and entering the job force. What advice do you have for them? Because this is so weird. Like this is very different, and it's not, no one's ever seen this before. So what advice would you give to just kind of like college grads?
Yeah. We've been talking about this as well, and they're kind of in the same boat as far as interview preparation, and they likely have less experience in preparing for professional world interviews, but still getting your resume up to date, doing some research about interviewing, going through some interview questions, writing your answers, things like that. Using those connections, all the same things apply to a new college grad, of making sure that they're arming themselves basically to hit the job market when those jobs open. But then also in this kind of a weird time, it might be a point where you're just looking for any job that might kind of get you through this period of time. And then it might not be your forever career, but it could lead you down that path. So it's something that you can gain some valuable skills, maybe use some skills that you've already had if you had some college jobs of restaurant work or hospitality, using some of those skills still to lead you into something else that'll just kind of tide you over. But then it'll create new connections for you, probably new skills that you can take to your next job. And when the market kind of recovers and jobs open back up in your desired field, then that's a good place to look. But just kind of sitting idle for the whole time, it can really hurt you in the long run. So whether it's sitting idle in preparation or sitting idle waiting for the most ideal job, because it just might not be there right now. So filling your time with something that's going to move you ahead is our best advice.
Can I go ahead, Beth? I'm
I
sorry.
was just going to add, I also think that, this time is doing research on companies that you may be interested in. So on, research on LinkedIn or research on companies that you may find, whatever that may be. I think just really digging in and understanding the ins and outs and talking to people. It's almost like a virtual cup of coffee. So, Brooke, I know you work at Right Spider. I'd probably just hit you up and say, hey, can we have a little virtual coffee date, and then find out more about what you do day in and day out, find out about your company. So you're doing that research and you're making those connections a little bit at a time.
That's really good advice.
Yeah, I got a quick question kind of on that note. So we talked a lot about the practical things that you can do, but obviously if, especially I would think that somebody that has been in a company for a while, they're experiencing some layoffs or furloughs or whatever it might be that are going on, the tactical side, okay, those are great points and you can start taking action. But what about, do you have any advice on the emotional side, right? Because when somebody loses their jobs, it can really put them in a state of where motivation can be kind of challenging, and I guess the vision to get through that stuff. What advice would y'all give on that side?
Right. I would say, definitely whenever you're in a situation of being laid off or furloughed, it can give a real hit to your confidence.
Yeah.
And realizing that you're not the only one in that situation, that there are people out there that are in the same boat, that it was not necessarily a product of your performance per se, or what you've contributed to that company, or even the company's loyalty or values. It's just a very unusual time. And so companies I know a lot of managers out there that are heartbroken to have to put people in this situation, but they're just really, hands are tied. So a lot of people want to jump straight to what did I do that caused this? What could I have done where I wouldn't have been that one or one of the ones that was laid off? So checking your mindset around your internal dialogue, and is that the truth? Or what is actually leading me to these thoughts that I'm having? And a lot of times it is that internal story that you're making up that is not necessarily the actual cause of what happened. And so getting past that will really kind of lead you down that path of action. And what do I do next? And kind of like I said, staying idle or letting those thoughts keep you idle can be more detrimental. And then that kind of takes you down a rabbit hole. And so helping yourself to move past, and maybe that is going back and getting reassurance from your manager of what happened or your performance, pulling out some old evaluations, things like that to reassure yourself of the skills you have, the things that you've contributed and can contribute, to kind of just move you over that hump, to kind of get to that next spot. And just socially talking with other people, people in the same situation, old coworkers, things like that. It brings a lot of camaraderie and can just boost your confidence. So.
That's good.
So what are some of the tools that CSA has kind of developed to help with everything that's going on?
Yeah, we've developed a couple of things that are helpful for candidates, anyone who might be in a job search, whether you've been laid off or you just feel like this is the time I need to make a move, just something different. They're on our CSA website. If you go to the website homepage, then there's a red banner at the top that says COVID-19. And if you click on that, that'll take you to a couple of videos that we've put together, one about updating your resume, and then another video about some job search and interview tips. And they're short and really just the highlighted most critical points that can really apply to anybody from any industry. So whether you're looking at a restaurant service position or you're looking at a vice president position, those tips can apply. And so you can check out those videos. They're free on our website for anyone to view. And then we work with a lot of our clients too that might be in a position where they are having to furlough people or lay people off, cut their staff. And so there's some resources on that same page for those companies out there that might find themselves in that position, wondering, how do I take care of my people? How do I give them the best transition possible and really set them up for success? Because they care about them and they want to do what's right, though to the best of their ability. So it's all on our website.
That's exciting.
Man, that's good stuff. What, Brooke?
You want to add something? The answer is yes. Always yes.
Of course, we're just getting started, right? We have what, till 4 today?
No, we have 9 minutes.
Man, I just think that it's just, at the end of the day, on the humanity side of things, right? I mean, people that are, being impacted by this circumstance. I mean, I think that, I spoke with someone in the supplier community that, experienced just some corporate layoffs that were really had nothing to do with this person or their team. It's quite a shock, and, that was the first question I asked because, as a professional, I've been through plenty of things in my career that will take a blow at confidence, that will kind of undermine what you thought about yourself. Right. And I think that it's just really important, like how, whenever I was talking to this person, they did do what you're talking about, Christy, as far as work, talking with their supervisors, getting, kind of having more conversation after the event unfolded. A couple days later, they reached back out and really kind of understood just emotionally, really kind of sunk that in that it wasn't me, it's just the circumstance. Talking to colleagues, and just really getting past that point. And I think that one thing that I would say, just from my own experience, is how, the sooner, like if you do get laid off or whatever it might be, to attack that part as fast as possible. Like really do the things you're talking about, Christy, right? Really reach out, be very active about that. Get that stuff out of you and get and kind of reinvigorate where you're at, because if you can get past that stage, then your ambition improves, and you know, it becomes more of an objective situation, which it was initially, right?
Right.
These things that are happening are really typical, are pretty much objective. You know, it's just like you said, people's hands are tied, have to do it. So, you know, I just think that we appreciate Cameron Smith and Associates and everybody on the team, because at the end of the day, you are really caring for the well-beings and livelihoods of a lot of people, right? Good people that are, you know, doing the, you know, just doing what they need to do to make improvements. So thank you so much for all your hard work. And I know that this, you know, even this situation for you and your business, right? I mean, because you're used to, you know, y'all interview people in person. There's a process that y'all have always gone through that you're having to adjust to, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely a little disrupting for y'all. I know that when we had to go on quarantine in our company, it was actually really pretty simple. Everybody in our team has always been asking to be working from home because we live in a digital environment. So it was like, hey, we don't need to come back to the office until further notice. Everybody's like, all right, cool. And they're all logged back in doing Zooms like usual. Yeah, just, you know, we didn't really miss a beat, but it's not the same case on the recruiting side. So I spoke for 7 minutes of the last 9, Brooke. Did I do a good job?
Thank you, guys.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, but thank you very much. I think we've covered everything. I don't know if you guys want to add, if there's anything else you want to add, and then we can wrap this up, because we have about 5 minutes. So
I would just say thank you for having us. Our goal is to definitely help people that have been affected any way that we can. We always get calls, and so creating these videos, and Christy and Stephanie did a great job on those. They turned out really wonderful. So if you have somebody that's looking for that, please feel free to share it.
Mm-hmm.
So like literally anybody can reach out to you. I mean, they don't. But I was going to ask, what industries do y'all really service? Do y'all have specialties in any industries there? Or?
Not in outplacement. We don't. We work with all across industries and positions.
Okay, outplacement meaning
So outplacement when people have been laid off, or their companies are trying to help them find something new. Then we have a whole separate division that Christy works with, that is outplacement.
So anybody that's been laid off, or anybody that's looking for a job, can approach you to find something. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's why we created these 2 videos.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, cool. So, well, that's good. I think that, I mean,
I'd say get to the website, our website, and if you get to those videos under that COVID banner, that our contact information is there if you feel like you need more assistance after that. And then for outplacement information for companies, contact information's there, so they can reach out that way if they have questions.
Awesome.
Well, that's exciting. Well, thank you guys so much for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah.